Minister of Rural Development and Local Government.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my learned friend, the Honourable Member for Barataria Sanwan, has said that there's an SOS to be called in relation to the local government elections. And then the Honourable Member says, no aspersions cast, it's okay, and then holds up a trump card to say somebody in the PNM related to somebody in the EBC. Madam Speaker, this is not the first time we have heard the members opposite make that allegation. And on every occasion that it was made, first in relation to Maxi Coffee being related to another coffee spelled differently, Madam Speaker, not an ounce of it turned out to be true. And Madam Speaker, I say that without fear of contradiction, because Trinidad and Tobago, if it's one thing the UNC does, is that it runs to court on every occasion. And in running to court on every occasion, 90% of the time losing the matters, Madam Speaker, one thing that happens is that it has been proven that our courts are transparent. Now, Madam Speaker, let's deal with the mischief that the Honourable Member raises. The Honourable Member seeks to compare the then Leader of the Opposition, now Prime Minister Dr. Rowley's call for an SOS in a general election, holds up, Barataria Sanwan holds up the supposed relationship of undisclosed and unknown people, just make it up, and compares that to Project Icons, Gregory Bissessa, and Cambridge Analytica, now proven by the world to be true in the 2015 general election, and seeks to draw a comparison that Prime Minister Rowley's call as Leader of the Opposition is an SOS of similar nature to what they say now. Madam Speaker, the Elections and Boundaries Commission, which has the role and function of supervising the local government structure pursuant to the law, Madam Speaker, which is Chapter 2550, the Election and Boundaries Commission, Local Government and THA Act, triggers the Election and Boundaries Commission to produce reports. The Elections and Boundaries Commission is a creature of the Constitution. Section 70, 71, and 72 of the Constitution see the Elections and Boundaries Commission, and they are deeply entrenched provisions pursuant to Section 54. Section 54 of the Constitution sets up that to amend any aspect of Section 70, you need a two-thirds majority of the Parliament. To amend any aspect of Section 71 and 72, dealing with the EBC, you need a three-quarters majority. And the independence of the EBC of this country is so excellent, Madam Speaker, so world-renowned, Madam Speaker, that notwithstanding all of the allegations made here today, if you go to the EBC's website, Madam Speaker, and you pull up publications and reports, you will see report of the Elections and Boundaries Commission, Local Government By-Elections, District of Debe South. Report of Elections and Boundaries Commission, Tobago House of Assembly. 13th Report, Elections and Boundaries Commission, Boundaries, Electoral Area of Tobago. Report of Elections and Boundaries Commission, THA again. Report of EBC, Local Government By-Election, Mount Coco, Alice Glen. Report of Elections and Boundaries Commission, Local Government By-Election, Hollywood. Report of Elections and Boundaries Commission, Local Government Elections, Hindustan St. Mary's. Similarly
for observers or no observers?
Member for Naparima. Member for Naparima. Having regard to your seniority, I'm sure you know rules and you understand the rules. Okay? So you know how you make an interjection. If your friend does not allow you, then you know what to do. You can't just stand up and override his speaking. Your training and your manners, which you speak of here all the time, demand so much more of you.
As I press on, Madam Speaker, the attempt being, I'm not giving way.
Okay. All right. So,
One, Madam Speaker.
and overrule.
Right.
Speaker, all of these EBC reports, notwithstanding the attempt to burn time by interruptions, Madam Speaker, demonstrate umpteen reports of report after report of our EBC with not an ounce of complication, be they local government elections, THA elections, or general elections, Madam Speaker. Since 1962 Constitution, 76 Constitution, Madam Speaker. And even if you were to take the argument of Barataria Sanwan at its highest, dealing with the election rules that came for analysis during the 2015 election, it demonstrates the transparency of our electoral process, that our courts were able to make determinations in relation to election rules and still have free and fair elections, Madam Speaker, to the point where the UNC has millions of dollars in legal costs to pay the PNM in relation to those failed election petitions, Madam Speaker. Now, Madam Speaker, should anyone just capitulate and receive election observers simply because the UNC says so? The argument that my friend opposite brings is that this government was not calling elections unless the court said so. Madam Speaker, there was no determination by any court anywhere that the law on reform was illegal. There was an interpretation that the law did not apply to incumbents. That's what the Privy Council decision, which reversed the Court of Appeal and High Court, said. The election on the interpretation, the interpretation on the election was that it did not apply to incumbents, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, our EBC is transparent. Our EBC has an uninterrupted record. But what my friend does here is that the member is pouring scorn on the entire media corps in Trinidad and Tobago. The fourth estate of Trinidad and Tobago in our structure of governance. In Trinidad, Madam Speaker, in a local government election, we have so much transparency and so much coverage that the honourable member is pouring scorn on the media. But Madam Speaker, if you read any one of the EBC reports and you look at the statistical information available from 1962 onward, you will see the number of votes, the distribution of parties, the registered electors. Madam Speaker, the statistical spread is so significant and so deep and so well analyzed that any untoward result would easily be detected if there was an election gone wrong. Madam Speaker, the opposition, we understand their call for election observers, because that is what they want in the UNC internal elections. They don't really need it in a local election, Madam Speaker. We are not a party that is in open internecine warfare with itself. We understand that the attempt is to distract the population from the defections and difficulties that they are facing, where their own party is cannibalizing their issues with their political leader, who is not even here, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker,
And
Madam Speaker, I rise on standing order. I respectfully rise on standing order 48-1. This is for the local government elections, not the UNC internal elections.
Please proceed.
Yes, Madam Speaker. So as you look to the confusion, you see, Madam Speaker, when you're in a state of panic, who across floor looking to get locked up, Madam Speaker? When you're looking at the difficulties opposite, their attempt is unfortunately to come and sully the reputation of one of the most excellent entities constitutionally entrenched. The Elections and Boundaries Commission of Trinidad and Tobago is such an excellent body, Madam Speaker, that we have the historical record of our Elections and Boundaries Commission finding itself in Africa, in newly independent Africa, to set up other EBCs of the same type, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have faith.
Member for Naparima, I think sometimes you really, in your exuberance, forget where you are. And member for Port of Spain South.
Speaker, we have faith in the independent body that is the Elections and Boundaries Commission. If there was a scintilla of truth or veracity in the statements of the member for Barataria
Madam
San
Speaker,
Juan,
I rise on
that
standing
there
order.
was-
Madam Speaker, I rise on standing order 48-1. Is either they're going to provide independent observers